That is a nice little mellow jam, isn't it, Todd?
Yeah, I'm glad you said something about it. It gets me like in the zone of we're going to do your daily scrum today.
No. Yeah, just kind of like we're in the space now.
Yeah, never sing it to me again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was kind of weird, wasn't it? All right, we have another viewer question, Todd. How does a Scrum team handle unexpected work? Mm-hmm. We get this a lot, don't we?
Yeah, yep. I got one opinion on this.
Let's hear it.
It doesn't really need to be done.
Ooh. So you're going like hot take right out of the gate.
Hot take right out of the gate.
We're not a minute in and you're telling the teams, ignore that unexpected work.
Does it have to be done? That's what I think that we shouldn't necessarily ignore it, but I think we should question it. And I think that this triggers a conversation that developers need to have with the product owner. And in a couple different facets, right? What if the product owner is the one forcing you to do it? Does it really need to be done? That a Scrum Master should step in and talk about the damage that this could cause to the sprint, potentially a sprint goal, or maybe it's an outside influencer that came to the developers asking for something, and developers need to trigger a conversation with the product owner to determine whether it really should happen or not. I just think like we're so inclined to say yes to everything. I thought that it would be a good hot take to say we should question whether it needs to be done right now, or can it go in the product backlog and be addressed later?
I agree with you. And actually, I think one of the few rules in the Scrum Guide actually supports this stance, right? No changes are made that would endanger the sprint goal. I think that's a really important idea to keep in mind as this uninterrupted work comes in, this unexpected interrupt type work comes in. I think Todd's initial question is right. Do we actually have to do this? And that's a great conversation with the product owner. But when we're deciding, do we have to, I think the question could be worded as, should we do this? When we start thinking about, could this put the sprint goal in jeopardy? Right. And so if we have to do this work, how do we do it in such a way that the sprint goal stays intact? I think has to be that secondary thought. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. To that point, if we have to do this work and we find that the sprint goal is no longer achievable because of it, then I mean, the nuclear option here is a product owner cancels a sprint, which is we talk about. That's an exception, not a rule, but that's an option you got here if the sprint goal is no longer achievable.
Yeah, and so I think those are two really important considerations. Do we have to do this, and if we do, how do we do it in a way that does not put the sprint goal in danger? Now, if we decide we have to do this work, and let's say this is happening regularly, Todd, that this work is coming in, it's production interrupt work, it's stuff we have to do to keep customers, active and working correctly and all those things. What do we do then?
So if this is a consistent thing, I'd say there's probably a dark corner of your application that you should address, right?
Yep.
See if you can find patterns in where your application might be fragile, or as they say in A Christmas Story, fragile. Yeah. So I think that might be interesting for us to find themes and actually solve technical debt so that we can inevitably not have to deal with those corners of it. So that's, I don't know if that's another hot take or not, Ryan.
I wasn't expecting to turn this into like a rule-based, legalistic type of episode, but there's also a quality does not decrease rule in Scrum, right? So if you've got this tech debt that's cropping up, that's actually causing repeatable interrupt work to come in and disrupt your sprints, I think Todd's hit it right on the head. You have tech debt that you need to solve, because at some point you've allowed quality to decrease. And that is against one of the very few rules in Scrum, that quality at some point has diminished, and we have to restore that. And so we actually try to solve the root of that issue. Some other things we've recommended in the past, if we have data that shows that each and every sprint, about 20% of our sprint is clogged up with interrupt work, we'll hold off 20% in sprint planning to just make space and make it transparent that this is happening, as a way to encourage the product owner, the organization, whoever it is, to actually invest in improving quality, right? We want to make sure that eventually gets handled. And so you have a lot of options here, right? Let's make sure that regardless of what we do, right, our decision would not put the sprint goal in danger, that we're not decreasing quality. And in fact, what we're trying to do is get to a space to where the interrupt work stops happening at all. We're trying to solve the root problem, as Todd mentioned.
Yep, that interrupt work decreases the predictability of your system.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I think we did all right on this one, Mr. Miller. And so we're going to close out with a call for everyone to check out the socials, right? Take a look at everywhere that we're at on the internet. We're dropping a lot of content out there for all of you to learn from. We hope it's helpful. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We smash that button, right, Todd?
We do. Hulk smash it. I'm getting through my Marvels.
Where are you at right now?
We just finished Age of Ultron.
Sweet. That's a good one. Yep. All right. As Todd works on his Hulk smash and through the Marvels, we're going to offer some videos down below for you to check out to continue your learning journey. Be sure to like and subscribe, as we said, because a lot of things are coming pretty fast. We have fixing your Kanban, fixing your Scrum Guide 2020. It's a 101 type of show to look at different pieces of the Scrum Guide. So you don't want to miss any of that. So make sure you get notified when we put new content out. You know what? I think that's it for today. I want you to go forward, have a good day, scrum on, deliver some value, and we will see you tomorrow.
Cheers, everybody.